Would you venture into the underworld to find a missing piece of your soul? Or go into a house that you knew was haunted by a mass murderer? And if you did feel like you were up to the task, would you do it all with a smile on your face? Today we continue our conversation with Tammy, who shares how she became a shaman and how you can too. If nothing else, she'll teach you to not be afraid of the shadows in your own psyche. Today on Homespun Haints. Hello, Hainted Loves. Welcome to Homespun Haints. I'm Becky.
Hey, I'm Diana.
Today on the show, as promised, we have Tammy Doublin coming back on. Tammy had so much to say that we split it into 2 episodes. So you're going to hear more today. You're going to hear some interesting things about her ability to help those that may have had some bad things happen in past lives. I hope you get some interesting knowledge for yourself from it.
Because remember, Tammy says everybody has the ability to develop these skills.
Also want to give a big shout out to our patrons who joined us for the live stream.
Thank you, patrons,
for our tarot reading. I think I told you, Diana, I did a run through of tarot readings just to practice, to get my tarot muscles working. My son wanted to go to the pool and I had to practice for this. So of course I went to the pool with my tarot cards.
Child monitoring and tarot reading.
I did. I found a very shaded area of the pool. And I walked over to where the parents like to hang out with their beers. Then I said, I'm doing tarot readings. So one by one, different parents came over and I gave them little poolside tarot readings. And it was great practice. And this is why I love my neighborhood, because I can show up to my neighborhood and just give poolside tarot readings and nobody thinks it's weird at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I tried that in my area, I'd end up in a forced baptism of sorts.
Yes. In fact, one person was over there. I was reading her and her daughter came over. The girl's like, Mommy, get in the pool with me. She's like, honey, hang on. Miss Becky's reading my fortune. Go away.
Aww, the mysterious Miss Becky. Did you say that's Madam Becky? Thank you.
I should have. And you know what? That would have been fine. I hear all the time from people that say, oh man, I wish I could do that where I live. And I believe that you're probably right. You can't. But there are parts of the world where you can kind of try, you can push it a little bit, and you will find your people. Now, this group of people that I have met, most of them I've met through the horror book club that I started in the neighborhood. There was a holiday party that I went to one year, and a group of us that knew each other from the book club went out on the back porch and we were hanging out, and we thought we were social butterflies because we're all kind of a little introverted and weird. And we're out there on the back porch just hanging out and having, I don't know, banana bread, whatever it is you eat at a holiday party. And one by one, we would notice that other people at the party, this neighborhood party, who we knew, they would poke their heads out, look, see it was us, and be like, ah, and then slam the door shut and run back into the party.
Oh.
And at one point, one person in the group said, well, we are the weirdos, mister.
Yeah. Whew, apparently.
So even though I feel like my neighborhood probably all knows about me and this is totally cool, I could be deluding myself.
You just choose to only pay attention to the right people. Mm-hmm.
It could very well be that there are plenty of people watching me going, whoa, saying their kids like, don't go over there. Stay away from Miss Becky.
The important people are the people who understand, who get it. And if you too live in an area where that's not very well accepted, you can also find your tribe by going to patreon.com/homespunhaints. Trust me, your tribe is there.
We have a new patron to give a shout out to.
Oh, cool.
Big shout out to Beth. Thank you so much for joining our Patreon.
Thank you, Beth. Welcome.
You're going to get all these really cool episodes ad-free.
Get ready to binge 5 seasons of
Yes.
bonus content. 5 years worth of ad-free bonus content. All yours right now.
Along with other really, really cool perks like tarot readings and book club, which I just mentioned. But I'll mention it again. Well, I think it's time for our newest installment to the show. Most dangerous, most dangerous, most dangerous.
You know what we're talking about today, Becky, right?
No, I have
you
no
don't.
idea. I know that this is completely out of left field. I threw Diana for a curveball last week. So now it's her time to get me back.
So we are guessing the world's deadliest recreational activities. Now, these are just things that you might do kind of as a solo participant. These are not team sports. So we're not talking about like rugby or the running of the bulls or anything like that. We're talking about solo-ish recreational activities that you might do yourself or with a friend or a couple of friends, but generally speaking with yourself.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw skydiving out there as the first one.
Skydiving is actually not in the top 15.
What?
Not kidding. Skydiving is relatively safe compared to the top 15.
Wow.
Yeah, but you're close. You're really close. Think about related activities.
Okay, what do you call it?
That are more dangerous.
Like parasailing? Is it hang gliding on the list?
Hang gliding's actually kind of safe compared to the top 15. But you're close. You're close. You're close. You're on the right thought track.
Jumping out of a plane just for fun?
Jumping out of a plane for fun. Isn't that skydiving? You mean skydiving without a parachute? Yes, that's dangerous. 100% fatality rate.
Bungee jumping.
Bungee jumping, not on the list.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know. Okay, but you're really close.
Zip lining?
Zip lining, not on the list.
All right. Well, clearly
Not on the top 15, at least. I ranked them by number of fatalities per participant.
Okay. All right.
You were so close with all of your guesses.
Mountain climbing?
So that does make the list. Yes. Solo mountain climbing results in a fatality rate of about 1 in 1,000 participants per year.
Okay.
So that actually clocks out at number 4. You were so close with hang gliding, though.
What else is there that involves falling out of a plane?
Don't think about planes.
Okay, but you're in the air, right?
Yeah, you're not attached to anything.
You're not attached to anything? What are you doing in the air?
Being dangerous, apparently. Living dangerously.
I don't know.
So, number 1 is called base jumping. Base jumping is basically like jumping out of a plane with a parachute, except it involves jumping from fixed objects like cliffs or buildings.
But do you have a parachute?
You do have a parachute. However, the fixed distance between you and the ground, the short distance between you and the ground when you start this fall, coupled with the fact that you're falling next to something very hard and potentially uneven, like a cliff, and you could very easily be gusted right into those rocks.
Yeah.
Makes base jumping the world's most dangerous hobby at an estimated fatality rate of about 1 in 60 people who try it every year. Yeah.
Oh shit, 1 in 60?
Isn't that rough? Sounds fun, right?
Your odds of dying from that are higher than your odds of dying from a mosquito bite, right?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I don't do math. But
Which is good, because a lot more of the world's population gets mosquito bites every year than tries base jumping. Very high risk of smacking into a very hard surface and dying very suddenly.
Why would you do that?
To live dangerously.
I mean, couldn't you just snowboard? Like, that's dangerous. Or skateboard off a half pipe. I mean, these are all these things that are dangerous, but
Oh, yeah.
have a higher living rate. 1 in 60?
The second most dangerous is significantly safer.
Free diving off of like cliffs into natural bodies of water and things like that.
Close. So it's actually cave diving. Basically spelunking underwater.
Okay.
So you'd go into caves and dive down, free dive down underneath the cave
You don't
water.
wear equipment.
I don't think so.
So what kills you? Do you hit a rock or does some cave creature eat you?
Generally, getting lost and running out of air before you can find the surface again is what kills you.
Yeah, that sounds like not a good idea.
Or getting stuck in a tight crevice.
But this is like people who do this recreationally.
Intentionally, on the regular. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
not like a search and rescue team that's trained to do it and they're doing it as an organized operation where they have radios and all that.
You know, I assume that they're trained in some manner, the people who attempt
Well, yeah,
this.
of course. I mean, you or I, we're not going to go into a cave and just be like, I think I'm going to try to cave diving. No, I don't even know
I was
how to
scared to
wear a
even
scuba.
ride the boat in the cave that you were talking about.
Well, we didn't even make it out there because we were too tired.
Thank God. I was terrified. Okay, so yeah, cave diving actually has a fatality rate of about 1 in 200 people who attempt it per year.
It's still not great.
That's still not great, but significantly safer than base jumping.
Yeah, but it's still at a 0.5% chance of dying.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you do that, but I mean, there are some fascinating things in cave lakes, right?
Not if you can't see them. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you definitely want to bring a light source with you.
No, I'd rather go into space. No. I'd rather spacewalk than go into a
I don't know
cave.
if that's considered like a hobby or activity, but maybe someday some spacewalking could be. Number 3 was actually really close to what you had guessed first. Hang gliding.
Okay, all right, let me think. Can you give me a hint?
Yes, it does involve free gliding in the air.
Is there such thing as air skiing? You know, you're on the back of the plane with the little, like...
That sounds like fun. Maybe there's such a thing. It's not very dangerous, though, because it didn't make the top 15, if it is a thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Or it's just not popular enough that they have any data on it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it involves free gliding in the air. Are you attached to anything?
No, not really.
And what are you doing in the air then?
Right. Living dangerously. I'm afraid that's the only answer to all of your questions today.
I got nothing. I have no idea.
So it's called wingsuit flying. You actually put on this kind of like plasticized suit that has a sheath of fabric between your legs and between your arms and your sides. You leap and then you put your arms out and kind of glide to the ground, hopefully. But 1 in 500 participants per year does not glide to the ground successfully.
Okay, so you're trying to be a bird.
I'm trying to be like a flying squirrel more.
Pterodactyl.
Because you're not supposed to flap and like gain any altitude. You're just kind of gliding down.
Well, then what the hell? I can glide off my roof. Just drag a red wagon up there and glide off. I want to fly. I want to freaking fly.
Slide down it on a tomato.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the top 4.
Base jumping, cave diving, wingsuit flying, and solo mountain climbing.
Is number 5, can you give me a hint? Is it water or air?
It's neither water nor air, and it's approximately almost as dangerous as solo mountain climbing.
Is it when you strap a rocket engine to your car?
Is that a hobby?
I know it's made the Darwin Award, so somebody's made it a hobby.
You know, that didn't make the list, so it must just not be common enough. I'm sorry. Probably very dangerous, though, I would guess.
Drag racing?
Ooh, close.
Really? Trying to jump the tracks?
That's a stupid hobby.
It was very popular in my hometown.
Why?
People were bored and living dangerously.
Okay, that's fair.
Didn't people in your town try to jump? You know what I'm talking about, where you're like racing the train.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Or another one that was popular was when you tried to jump onto a moving train.
Riding the blinds.
Yeah, and well, if it didn't make it, there wasn't much left of you for them to identify afterward. Yeah, I remember that happening to a girl in my high school. When I was anyway, so it has nothing to do with trains?
Nothing to do with trains. No.
Wow. Okay, so clearly this list had nothing to do with Appalachia. All right.
I think this is actually worldwide.
Okay, well, they have trains everywhere, so I don't know what's
True.
up. Just tell me. I'm not.
But I think only Americans are dumb enough to jump in front of them, really.
Hey, now, there's dumb people all over the world. Don't just give Americans flack.
Fair enough.
We just might be that bored, especially in agricultural areas. Okay, tell me, what is number 5?
Riding a motorcycle.
Oh, no, really?
1 in 1,000 participants die per year.
Damn.
Making
Top
it nearly
5.
as dangerous as solo mountain climbing in harsh conditions.
In harsh conditions. Wow. Okay. So for those of you, we have a lot of friends that ride motorcycles. I will light a candle for every single one of you.
There's one more that's approximately the same, kind of like your list, the fifth one kind of tied, a three-way tie.
So it's eating freshwater snails? Or putting them on your face?
Fortunately, not a hobby that's widely practiced. Do you want to wager a guess at the other top 5?
Okay, it has nothing to do with jet engines or car.
Approximately as dangerous as riding a motorcycle or solo mountaineering.
Just tell me.
Binge drinking.
Whoa!
Which is defined as, for women, 4 or more drinks in 2 hours, or for men, 5 or more drinks in 2 hours.
Oh gosh, I'm lucky to be alive.
Something somebody you know probably does every weekend, right? Or at least a few people you know. Kills about 1 in 1,000 participants per year.
Wow. PSA, don't binge drink. Careful on your motorcycle. Whatever you do, don't binge drink, then get on your motorcycle and then free climb up a mountainside.
Oh God, no. Don't drive off your motorcycle into a cave dive, into a base jump. That would be real bad.
Leave that to Evel Knievel. He was the best.
Yes. So, yeah, all of these are hobbies you may not want to take on. After we go over the top 5 in order after that, we've got big wave surfing, which is surfing waves over 20 feet high. Free solo climbing, which is basically rock climbing without any ropes or padding. Not the same as bouldering because it's much taller.
Okay.
Recreational drug use, when you exclude prescription opioids, heroin, and marijuana.
Really?
Yes.
Excluding heroin.
Yeah, I figured that heroin and marijuana would be such outliers in their death rates. The death rate for heroin's fairly high because of contamination. The death rate for marijuana is so low that it doesn't really
I don't think it
belong
really
on this
causes-
list. No. Yeah, so death rates for recreational cannabis use are less than 1 in 100,000, so not really part of this list. So are psychedelics and LSD, but MDMA is 1 in 10,000. Cocaine is 1 in 6,000. Synthetic cannabinoids like K2 and kratom are actually 1 in 3,000.
Is that like Delta 8?
Yeah,
Oh!
I believe so. Don't quote me, but I believe that they're talking about any synthetic cannabinoids.
Yeah, one day I'll tell you all about how I was roofied with Delta 8. That was you would think it would be fine. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And like 30 times more likely to kill you or something than
It was not a good
normal
experience.
cannabinoids that come from plants.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, of course, the most dangerous recreational drug is meth, which we
Yeah.
both know from growing up in the country. After that, recreational boating and sailing, recreational car driving, joyriding and road trips, etc. High altitude hiking and kayaking.
But to be doing
whitewater
all
rafting.
4 of those in the next few days.
Ooh,
Okay.
exciting. As long as you're not on a motorcycle, your chances of death are significantly lower.
Going to take a road trip to a mountain and kayak there.
Oh, fun. You'll be fine. Kayaking is like 1 in 50,000 participants per year. Just,
You have to,
it's nothing.
maybe you have to like fall over and get eaten by a gator. Like, how do you die from kayaking?
Capsizing and hitting your head or getting stuck underwater mainly.
Maybe if it's like whitewater kayaking.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
Whitewater kayaking, yeah.
I'm going to be in a very smooth river.
I think whitewater rafting is much safer than whitewater kayaking, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that those top 5s are not things I didn't even know about some of them, so I don't think I'll be doing them anytime soon. And it's good to know that skydiving is a lot safer than I thought it would be because I've actually had a hankering to try that.
Let's look up the fatality rate of skydiving real quick, because it might just not be on here. I don't know. Oh, yeah. 1 in 370,000 people.
Die from skydiving?
Yeah.
So it's safer than driving.
In all of 2023, there were 10 skydiving fatalities in the United States out of 3.5 million jumps.
Okay.
So yeah,
Pretty safe.
don't worry about skydiving. Worry about going for a road trip in your car. Significantly more likely to die.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
That's why I let you drive on our road trip, Becky.
I'm a good driver.
You are. Especially on hairpin turns on a mountain.
We should include that on the show notes for the road trip. A map of what these look like. And imagine that on a mountainside. Yeah.
The navigation is never helpful because it thinks you're just going back and forth in the same place. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't navigate in the third dimension.
Were you scared at any point?
I wouldn't say scared. I'm always anxious in the car, but not significantly more than normal.
Oh, that's why we put you in the back.
Yes, it is. I'm like a horse. You just cover my vision a little bit and I'm far less likely to get spooked.
All right. Well, thank you, Diana, for making me terrified to do the things I always do and sure that I'm never going to do the things I never do.
You're welcome.
I will stop binge drinking right now. But if you do binge drink, just remember, it's just as dangerous as riding a motorcycle.
That's right.
Or climbing a mountain.
Not quite as dangerous as these commercials. Becky.
Diana.
Why does Ella look so sad?
She's been really glum lately because she hasn't achieved the worldwide stardom that she knows is her birthright.
Oh, that's terrible. People have heard of Lil Bub, Grumpy Cat, and Pussy Galore. Surely they've heard of Ella Kalimnik, the world's podcasting cat? No?
I took Ella to the Hollywood Walk of Fame the other day, and not a soul recognized her. In fact, we were even asked to leave after the cabbage incident.
I think we must rectify this atrocity right away.
I have just the thing. You know the tote bag you've got that has Ella's beautiful visage right on the front?
The one with the cute messaging that says every time I meow in the middle of the night, I'm talking to that person that you cannot see. Yes, I got it from our Homespun Haints merch store, actually.
She did a great job modeling for that photo.
And everyone who purchases one of these bags will not only be able to carry their exorcism supplies more easily, they'll also help Ella realize her dreams of worldwide notoriety.
It's a win-win for everyone.
All people have to do is go to homespunhaints.com and click on the merch link at the top of the page. Then they can rest easy knowing they've helped a cat reach her potential.
Do the right thing. Help support Ella and Homespun Haints. Today on the show, we continue with our conversation with Tammy Doublin. If you missed the first part of this interview, you can catch up on last week's episode, My 5 Best Dead Friends Are Ghosts of Celebrities. Today, we continue our talk with Tammy and discuss the work she does and how you too can begin on your own journey toward being more intuitive. So Tammy, right now you have an upcoming workshop, you have a retreat you're doing next year in Hawaii, and you also offer services to individuals.
Yeah, I am open and available for virtual and remote work. I am an intuitive counselor and I do remote healing and remote soul retrieval. We don't have to be in the same room. It can be anywhere in the world.
So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about some of the more unusual, perhaps even spooky things you've encountered while helping yourself and those around you heal.
So that healing journey led me to clientele that were coming. There was a string of women at one point after I had some healing practice where all these women started showing up at my door. And every time I would do a healing session with them, I was seeing that I was releasing them from some witch contract. Like it was, they were witches. And like some of them would even, I would see them being burned or being hung or what have you. And I'm like, you're free. You can be who you are. Come out of the woods. You don't have to hide. There's one in particular that I recall. I told her that I saw her being burned and she had a burlap bag over her head. And I saw her about a week after, just ran into her out in a public space and she saw me and she comes up to me. She's like, oh my goodness, I have to show you something. I'm like, what? She lifted up her hair and all of her skin was peeling off like she had been burned.
Oh.
And it was winter. So it wasn't sun. It wasn't, she's like, this is after our healing session, like you peeling that burlap off of my skin. It was incredible. We were both flabbergasted, like, right? Yeah. So that is when I started to kind of really pay attention to like the witchy part of me because I was really intently focused on the Jesus-y stuff. Like if things came to me, I'd be like, do you come in the name of Jesus? Otherwise, if you don't, you're not safe. And then one of my mentors said to me, Tammy, do you know how much stuff you're probably turning away by only allowing those that identify with Jesus into your space? You're keeping them in a space of unacceptance. You're keeping them in a space of feeling like they're not worthy or that they're bad or they're not good or they're harmful. And so that realization was huge. And then I started to open the door up to everything. And I realized, another mentor said this to me and it sticks. And I refer to this all the time. Everything is either love or a call for love. So if you have some kind of spirit entity, being, whatever people want to name, label things, and they're acting out, they're lashing out, they're doing things that might be perceived as harmful, they've forgotten their own love. They've forgotten that they are love too. They've placed themselves in this box of being demonic or horrifying or incorrigible or whatever. And then we continue to keep them there by continually identifying them as that. So that's one thing I'm also really passionate about is let's stop calling things entities and demons, and they're souls. They're souls. And many of them are needing healing, just like we are. Now, having said that, I have encountered things that I don't know if I would identify them as a soul. There is a gray area. Probably 95% of the times the things I encounter are often shadow aspects of the self. People will say, I got stuff going on in my house. Can you come over? I'm like, oh, this is you. This is about you. But sometimes there's stuff that I'm like, oh no, this is something else. And we need to clean this up. And that, if I could identify it, if I could name it, if I could with certainty say what those things are, I would, but I can't. I have seen images of things like the Baphomets or like what we would describe as Satan, the way that Satan is depicted, although I don't have a personal belief in Satan.
So quick question. When you said that these people were bound by some kind of witch contract, does that mean that in a past life they had been persecuted as a witch, and because of what happened to them, that persecution had followed them and forced them into some kind of mold that was keeping them from being their true selves? Is that what I'm getting from that?
Absolutely. The intuitive download that I got about it, at some point, we all got together and said, all right, enough is enough. We're not going to keep letting them do this to us. So we agreed together to enter into this contract by which we decided we're just going to hide. We're just going to weave into the fabric of society. What I was told is that time is over. We're not here to hide anymore. Our magic is needed. The purpose that we serve is highly revered. We are needed and we need to be seen. It was time for us to step out of that contract. There is a revival happening. We are coming out. We are reclaiming our voices. We are showing up. We are speaking publicly. We are letting people see us.
You mentioned before that you're a shaman. What exactly does that entail?
I refer to myself as a contemporary shaman just because what do you call yourself? I have to put something on my business card. I go to the underworld often. Part of shamanism is called soul retrieval. When people experience trauma, the soul, in an effort to preserve itself, will fragment. So if you experience something overwhelming and your emotional body does not have the capacity to process the emotions in a healthy way, the soul will be like, hey, this person is really going to be in trouble if they hang on to this. They don't have the capability right now to process it. So we're going to fragment. We're going to take some of these pieces away. And at some point in their journey, when they're ready to reclaim those parts and process those emotions, they'll seek that out. So when people come to me for soul retrieval, I know it's because they're ready. So you reclaim these parts, you integrate that part of yourself, you release yourself from that trauma. Suddenly, all these things in your life open up. Your bad relationships stop happening. You start making money that you never were able to make. So going to the underworld is where those fragmented parts are.
Okay.
So that's the role of the shaman, is to go into that place and reclaim those parts and bring them to you.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Shaman is the bridge between the physical world and the spirit world. So technically, everyone is a shaman, just like everyone's a medium.
Speaking of being a medium, what have your experiences been like when you've had to work with actual hauntings?
In terms of like the mediumship, I actually have been visited by and had conversations with Charles Manson and Ted Bundy. And I went to a house once that was out in what you would kind of consider the country. But as I was driving to her house, I kept seeing these red-winged blackbirds. And I kept seeing a cellar, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to go in. It's going to be some farmhouse. I'm going to have to go in the cellar. I don't want to go in the cellar of a farmhouse. Like, ugh. Well, when I arrived, the two women that lived there were on the front porch, and they're like, it's really bad today. We can't be in there. We've just been outside waiting for you. We can't go inside.
Oh, wow.
And I said, by any chance, do you guys have a cellar? And she looks at me and she goes, oh, there's an old canning cellar in the basement. I'm like, oh, crap. So I had to go down there, and it was a serial killer that went after just men, and it's not the one that you would think. It was not Gacy, and I just kept seeing, like, I'm like, it's the same thing. I know that it wasn't him specific that was in that space, but when I went in that cellar, that's what I just kept seeing. And then I said I needed to go in the backyard, and there was like a tree house, and I'm like, whoever used to live here used to lure children to this tree house and then bring them to this cellar.
Oh.
This woman that was living there had a baby, a toddler, and the toddler kept telling her that she was seeing stuff in the house. Yeah. One of the things that I have found that are similar in every single place I go that I would deem as an actual haunting, there's always somewhere in the house black or red paint.
Diana.
Like a room painted red or a room painted all black, but it's oftentimes like smeared. You guys are like, oh.
When I was a teenager, I painted my bedroom walls like dark blood red and my ceiling black.
Oh.
In my bedroom. And then when the pandemic hit, I moved back into that house that I grew up in, into that bedroom. And oh boy, was it haunted.
Proceeded to be horribly haunted.
Yeah.
And it affected you in so many ways, Diana.
Surely
oh my
it
goodness.
did. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So see, people like you and I, we don't absorb or take on those energies. So like in Diana's case with you painting the red and black, I feel like that was more part of your purpose. So you're like tapping into something that you were learning about what you do, who you are, what your abilities are, what you can see, what you can experience. I don't think that you were like possessed by something.
Okay. That's good.
I've noticed when I've gone to drug houses, I've actually seen like handprints with red paint, smeared black paint. When people are possessed, they have a lot of what I call soul loss. So those people that are addicts, alcoholics, people that have been severely abused, severely traumatized, those are people that have a tremendous amount of soul loss, and their physical body is like a revolving door for lower energies to like take up space. Yeah, the black and red paint. Another thing that I often see will be the outline of where an old crucifix used to hang. Or sometimes there will still be a crucifix hanging. So it's either or, but oftentimes I'll just see the outline of where one used to hang, like it's old paint or whatever, and they moved out and they took it, and it's the outline is still there. I feel like I'm picking on Christianity. I'm not trying to do it intentionally, but it does run deep. Some churches and the heaviest energy I've ever encountered. And some of the spirits that I've helped cross have literally not left the earth plane because they believe that they are not allowed to. I've encountered spirits that say, well, I can't go because I killed myself, so I can't go into the light. That's what they were conditioned to believe. If they died of an overdose or a suicide or something, and they feel like they can't leave, now their energy's hanging out in that house. So the next person that comes to live in there is just feeling depressed and anxious or falling into addiction, and they have no idea why. And it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with this other kid that never left because his dad taught him that he was a sinner and he couldn't go to the light. So in that case, I don't consider that a haunting. I consider that a soul that needed someone to tell them that it's okay to leave.
That sounds like hell to me.
Yeah, right, exactly. Another thing that I will often see will be some type of purple flower in the yard. Usually, I've seen them even in the winter popping up through the snow, which is ridiculous in Michigan for a purple flower to be up through the snow. But for me, the purple flower, that's different. The paint and the crucifix to me represents heavy energy. The purple is always symbolic for me in that I'm where I need to be and I'm supported. I would almost associate it with like the violet flame of transmutation.
So you see those 3 symbols repeating in haunted houses all over.
Yes, if I go to a place that is truly haunted, those are typically the things I'll see. Or the people will tell me when they bought it, it was like that. And maybe they painted over it or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like your theory that we're all technically shaman. We just maybe haven't explored that part of ourselves yet and developed it, so that people can start to move down that route. What is the practical practice of soul retrieval that anybody could start to achieve for themselves?
There's 2 different ways. One, you could go see somebody. You could see somebody that's already practicing that can teach you, but that's not the route I took. So this is why I love sharing this part of it, because what happened for me is I just remained open and curious, and I just started meditating, literally finding like 7 chakra frequency music on YouTube somewhere and just listening to it every night and just staying open and asking questions and saying, what does this mean? What does that mean? Eventually progressed to what I call journey. Shamanic journey is really about going into a trance state. It's the same thing as meditation. It's just a different word. It's just different terminology. When people start journeying, I always recommend go in for yourself. It's just like when you go into meditation. Usually when you're in meditation, you're going inward. You're going in for your own healing. You're going in for yourself. That's what journey is. And then when you get really good at going into journey for yourself and looking around and seeing the landscape, noticing what's the same each time, maybe you see the same animals or the same scene, the same nature, then you can start going in with the intention of going in for other people. It's not any different than meditation, and a lot of people that do journey use it through the practice of drumming. So you see a lot of women out there and men now having frame drums. I do use a drum myself. I'll do like a group soul retrieval where I'm drumming and chanting, and then it just sends people off because I'm bringing that frequency that allows them to journey, and then they go off on their own journey. But you can do it yourself if you just find some audio that works for you. Find some audio that sends you off. I do have a drumming audio. If you're interested or anyone's interested, then I'm happy to just share.
Sure.
It's just a 20-minute audio that I recorded out in nature somewhere where I'm drumming and chanting and you can hear birds and maybe an occasional car. I often will share that with clients and I'm like, oh, you're ready to start journeying. Here, take this audio and listen to it 2 or 3 times a week and then let me know how you feel. Let me know what happens.
Where are you journeying to? I mean, you mentioned the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you're going spiritually?
Sometimes, yeah, but we can go anywhere. Typically when I journey, I'm not going to the underworld unless I'm specifically setting the intention of doing soul retrieval.
Okay.
The other times I'm just going into journey to see what's in there, or if I'm specifically going into, let's say someone has cancer and they reach out and they're like, can you help me? I'll go into journey specifically to do whatever in the ethers that needs to be done to recalibrate their body.
Oh, like magic school bus into their tumor or something?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I take stuff out. I've literally seen myself remove tumors out of people and take them out.
Awesome.
And then they will come back and say, hey, I went to go get my follow-up, blah, 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 CT, MRI, whatever, and the doctor said there's nothing there. I'm like, of course, because I removed it. In my journey.
Wow.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I tell people, you don't have that. It's literally what Jesus was teaching us is like, oh, all we have to do is know that we don't have that. He didn't do surgery on people. He didn't even touch people most of the time. He just had to be there and then they would be healed. It's the same thing. We have that ability to do that. That's what he was here teaching us and showing us when he was here walking the earth, is that like, hey, guess what? We can do this thing. We can look at each other and go, hey, you're all better. And it works. I've literally had coworkers say, hey, my knee's hurting today. Can you help me? I'm like, yeah, your knee's fine. And then an hour later, my knee really doesn't hurt anymore. I'm like, I know, because it's better. And they don't always have to believe it, but they do have to take inspired action to change whatever's causing them to become ill. We can take it away, but they have to be in a space where they're ready for that to happen. And then make sure that they're making the changes, because every physical illness is associated with unresolved emotions.
Thank you, Tammy, for the interview today.
Thank you.
Quickly give us the website where we can go book a float and Motor City Float, or where we can sign up for your workshop later this month.
My website is just tammydoublin.com. Tammy Doublin with an O. Motor City Float is motorcityfloat.com.
Thank you so much, Tammy.
This was great. Thank you so much.
Well, Hainted Loves, next time you have to go to the underworld, remember to embody the frequency of purification, because technically, everyone's a shaman, even you, and you deserve to have a spooky day.
Homespun Haints is hosted by Becky Kielimnik and Diana Doty, and produced by Homespun Haints Media LLC. Editing and music by Becky Kielimnik. Show notes by Diana Doty. If you have a ghost story and you'd like to be considered as a guest for this podcast, please visit our website at homespunhaints.com/submit.